Winter brings the feeling of nesting or hunkering down. It also means the picking up of a piece or two of handicrafts. The oven works overtime for those holiday family favorites, and knitters dash to their local yarn stores to squeeze in one more scarf or a pair of socks for that last-minute gift. As you are crafting away, Barmaids continues to handcraft yummy goodness for your skin. Barmaids handcrafts their products with natural skin-loving oils and butters, everything your skin needs to keep it soft and moisturized, and nothing it doesn't. Since you are likely to use your hands more during the holiday season, let Lolo keep them moisturized. It's simple. Get your hands wet, shake the water off, and get your Lolo on before you pick up the needles, cookie cutter, or drop spindle.
Hi, and welcome to Knitting Blooms. Today is Friday, February 8th. My name is Tina, also known as Bloomingknitter, and this is episode number 93. So welcome to the show. Thanks so much for joining me today. Last week I recorded on Friday, and the reason I recorded on Friday last week was because club was going to be on Saturday, and I was going to have a busy day, and I didn't know if I would have time to record in the morning before club. I don't have any club or anything tomorrow, but it was kind of nice to just get the podcast recorded, and then I didn't really have to plan anything for Saturday. So I'm going to try recording on Friday evenings. I don't know if I'll do it every week, but whenever I can manage it to record Friday evening, especially as we get into getting closer to Knitopia and trying to get these projects finished around the house. That way I can have all day on Saturday to work on projects and get things done around the house and not have to, worry about being in a time crunch trying to get the podcast recorded. So I can record Friday evening when I get home from work and hopefully have it up for you, first thing Saturday morning. So we'll see how that goes. I want to start off the show by thanking everybody who has purchased my new pattern, Trials with Lace. You guys have blown me away. The pattern has been up for a little over a week, and the sales on the pattern have been more than all of my other patterns that have been up for years. And I just really appreciate you guys buying the pattern. It really is encouraging me to want to design more patterns. I never know if somebody's gonna like what I design, so sometimes I just think, I'll just do it for myself and not worry about it. But apparently you guys do like it, so maybe I will design some more. I have a few more ideas in mind, but they're in my head, and I just have to figure out how to translate them into knitting. So I've been working on that. I have couple ideas, and who knows how long it'll take me to get there. But I'm working on them, and it probably will be 6 months to a year before I get them actually formulated. The Trials with Lace took me quite some time. I had in my mind that I wanted to do a lace shawl design, and it did. It took me probably 6 to 8 months to get it finalized and ready to go. But we'll see. Maybe the second time around won't be as difficult for me. But I really appreciate everybody buying that pattern, and I hope you'll knit along with us in the cowl that's coming up in April. And speaking of cowls, we currently have the February Finish It or Frog It, which I'm calling the F cubed podcast, or F cubed cowl. And things are moving right along in that thread. I see a lot of people posting in there, either finishing things or frogging things. Some things that are nearly done and things are getting frogged. So I hope they just decided that it wasn't a project that they were going to wear or what have you. So I've been interested in seeing everybody's progress and whether you've decided to frog something. So continue posting in that thread. Next month, again in March, we are going to be doing the die-along. So if you'd like to join in with that along, I guess we'll call it the die-along, get some bare fiber or yarn or what have you, and get ready to dye with us, because that'll be a lot of fun. And what I think I'm going to have everybody do for that is post what type of dyes they used, if they used an acid dye or Kool-Aid or whatever, and if they used what colors they used as well. So then if somebody else would like to, duplicate what you've done, they know where to at least get started. So those are the cows that are going on right now. And there's so many podcasters that are doing knit-alongs. I can't join everything. It's like, I'd like to be able to join a lot of the other knit-alongs that the other podcasters are doing, but it's just, I can barely keep up with my own stuff, let alone trying to keep up with another knit-along. But I encourage you to go out and check out the other podcasts that are having knit-alongs right now and join in on those as well. So anyway, I think this show is probably going to be shorter than normal. Maybe. I can't remember how long the drop spindle tutorial was, which is the tutorial that's going to be later in the show. But I have some quick things to share with you about my knitting and my spinning this week. But that's about it. I do have a barmaid's drawing for this week as well. I'll go over a couple of new vendors who have sponsored Knittopia 2013. And, speaking of Knittopia, Knittopia 2014 registrations are open, and I've already filled a number of spots. I think I have, I want to say maybe one spot left for the second weekend, and maybe 2 or 3 spots for the first weekend. There are some spots that I am holding out to do a lottery in September, so when I say how many spots are left, that does not include the spots that are being held back for lottery. So, and then there's a few full retreat spots as well that I might be able to break apart and use as weekend spots if there's people that want to come to the weekend, but we don't have enough people that want to do the full retreat. So, but I'll get into the vendors for Knittopia 2013 a little later in the show. So let's jump right into knitting. I have an almost finished object. Yep, it's almost finished, and it is the Knit Swirl, and it's off the needles. It needs to be blocked. I finished up the body. Let me see if I can figure out where I am here. Okay, here's the body with the arms. I don't know how much you'll be able to see. I finished up the body, was it yesterday? Yesterday, I think, and I wove in all the ends. It's quite large. I do have to block it. I was debating on whether or not I wanted to block it before I seamed it, and then I went back to the book and read the information. And yes, they do recommend that you block it before you seam it. So that's going to be my big project for tonight, is blocking this monstrosity. As I'm looking at it, as I took it off of the needles, I'm thinking, how is this thing going together? I still wasn't quite sure how it was working until I started messing with, trying to piece it together and figure out how things are going to line up. And I laid it out on the floor, and then it finally clicked. So it looks like it's going to be extremely fun to put together once I can get it blocked. And I've already been looking at the book to see which one I'm going to do next, because I think I'm going to do another one. I don't know if I'll start it right away, but maybe just after Knittopia I will start another one. One thing I do want to mention about this project is that I found while working the body, as soon as I cast off stitches to do the body, I found that reading from the schematic versus the written line by line or row by row directions, I found it was easy to go by the schematic for the decreases, because I think I mentioned, I think it was last month, about the arms, how it seemed when I was reading the instructions, it seemed like there was more decreases on one side than the other, and in fact, they were different numbers on each side. They might have said decrease 5 on this side and 4 on this side and 6 on this side and whatever on this side. But it all balanced out in the end. I don't know what the reasoning was for doing the decreases like that, but in the end, there was the same number of decreases on each side. And it worked out the same way when you re-decreased for the sleeves on the other side. And like I said, I found that reading from the schematic, I kind of read the line-by-line instruction and then said, okay, I think I got it, but then I went to the schematic and then just kind of followed along the schematic and made sure that at the end of each welt I had the correct number of stitches. And that worked out much better for me than trying to read the line-by-line instructions, because what I ended up doing was they recommend that when you cast off the center part of the collar that you join a new ball and work both of the upper parts of the body at the same time. Well, I was already alternating skeins because this is hand-dyed yarn, and so I decided that I wasn't going to break those balls apart and try and alternate like that. So I just worked up one side and then I worked up the other side. And trying to read the directions, and it's saying decrease, 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 but it was talking about decrease on this side and decrease all the way on this side. And it was too confusing for me. So like I said, it was much easier to go by the schematic. So I'm going to try and show you where I was. So you see those orange markers there? That's where I was the last time I showed you, and I did the whole arm and this whole arm over here. So I did quite a bit, and in fact I did a lot of this last weekend when I had knit club and then knitting bowl. So, and then I just finished it up this week, and I wove in all my ends. You'll see a lot of the ends kind of sticking out there. I left my ends longer than normal because I know that these are going to pop through if I leave them too short. Once I block it, I can probably go back and retrim if one is poking through to the front or in a position where it would show. But most of these seams are going to be on the inside anyway, most of these ends, so I'm not too worried about it. But I am very excited about getting it seamed up. I really, really wanted to seam it before blocking it because I wanted to try and do it today. But as it turned out, the guys stayed in the office all day, and I didn't get much time to do any knitting or anything. So I just pulled out a basic sock today, and that's all the knitting or spinning that I got done at the office today, because I was constantly putting it down and doing something for them and then picking it up and knitting 2 rows and then putting it down again. So I wouldn't have had time to do this today anyway, but I am very excited about getting this blocked. I hope to have it all blocked and seamed together to show you next week when I do the podcast. So exciting stuff. Now on to spinning. The last couple weeks I've been talking about the Into the Whirled fiber that I have been spinning on my homemade e-spinner, and this is what I finished up last week. I had a little bit left over on Friday, and I finished it up on Sunday, and I put the new bobbin on. This is what I did the week before, so these kind of go together. And I'm currently working on the second third of the green. And that's how much I've gotten done. I have a bit left to go of this, and then this. This is the whole second third of the green. And then once I finish this, I will apply these 3 together. So I'll have 2 greens and the multi that I'll apply together. And again, normally I would have had this almost completed had I had time to do spinning at the office today. But because they were in the office all day, I really didn't have time to do that. And even though I could have spun some and then stopped and spun, while they needed stuff to do, my homemade e-spinner is just way too loud to be on in the office when other people are there, because I can't hear if somebody's calling me from wherever they are. So I didn't spin it at all today either. I am hoping to finish spinning a little bit, do some more spinning tonight on this, and hopefully finish that up so that possibly I will be able to ply it, or at least start plying it by the end of the weekend. I'm kind of thinking that keep going thinner. I keep thinking, when I started this out, I wanted to do like a sport weight yarn, but I seriously think I'm gonna be getting a fingering weight again. I just fall back into that thin spinning. I think I was spinning, when I started this first green one, I was spinning a little bit thicker, but I think I have fallen back into a thinner spinning on this one. I need to get back into spinning a little bit more thickly on this this last one. So, and I think this one was spun a little bit thicker too. I really do need to find a way to be consistent throughout the whole thing. But we'll see how it turns out. Like I said before, I was trying to get like a sport or DK weight so I could make Steve some hats. But maybe I'll just be making myself some socks. Who knows? We'll see. So again, that's what I've gotten done on this one. And I have, this is a fourth of the second third. And this is part of a fourth. So not that much to go. I think it takes me about an hour and a half to spin a fourth of the third. So it'll probably take me almost 2 hours to spin this up, but that won't be too bad. And I really haven't spun any on the alpaca that's on my ladybug wheel this week. It just seemed like every night this week when I have come home and had time to knit, I have been working on the Knit Swirl because I was so close after the weekend to being done. I'm like, oh, I just want to hurry up and finish this. And I think it took me almost 4 hours yesterday to weave in my ends. Yeah, 4 hours to weave in the ends on that Knit Swirl. There was a lot of ends because remember, I was alternating skeins about every 4 to 5 rows. And the reason I did it every 4 to 5 rows, normally when you're alternating skeins, you do it every 2 rows. But the reason I did it every 4 to 5 rows was because of the welts. I figured that the different texture of the welt would help mask any difference in color variation. So far I look at it and it looks fine. We'll see the true colors when I block it out and see if there's any differences. So like I said, I haven't really spun on the alpaca this week. I think I did a tiny bit, but not really that much. I still have about 2 bits to go, the bits that I've broken apart, trying to get those done in a day, but that hasn't happened. So once I finish this Into the World, I might just get back to the alpaca to get that done, because again, that's going to be a item up for auction at Knittopia 2013, and so I'd like to get that done as soon as possible. So that's all the spinning I have for you this week. Okay, let's do the barmaid's drawing. Yep, we're back to doing barmaid's drawings each and every week. And that means that you're going to have to remember to get your post into the thread early in the week, because if I record on Friday, closing that thread up, and then you can't put your name in there. But I believe we had 50, let me see, we had 51 posts in the barmaid's drawing this week. And the winner is number 42, Red Yarn Knits, and that's Tiffany. So Tiffany, congratulations on winning the $15 off coupon for barmaids this week. I hope you enjoy the products once you get to try them out if you haven't already. So just get in contact with me and I will send over that coupon code for you. Okay, now for the spinning tutorial. Again, like I said at the beginning of the show, I have a drop spindle tutorial for you, and I'm just going to give you some basics about using a drop spindle. So if you haven't used a drop spindle before, you can hopefully get started on it before, just by watching this video. And I also provide you with a special little twisting technique or untwisting technique that was shown to me, which helped my consistency tremendously when I first started spinning, and which is one reason why I continued spinning, because like I've said all along, that I like to spin a thin worsted spun single, and you have to be able to have consistent drafting and whatnot in order to get that. So I hope you enjoy this tutorial, and I hope that it will help you with your spinning with the drop spindle. In this tutorial, I'm going to share with you a little bit about drop spindling. I haven't been doing a whole lot of drop spindling lately because I have 2 spinning wheels as well as an e-spinner. And so I am much more productive and can do a lot more spinning a lot faster on those wheels, and I haven't really spent time spinning on my spindles as of late. That's not to say that I won't get back to spinning on my spindles, but right now it's not a top priority. But I do want to give you just a few tips on how to spin on a spindle. First of all, I want to show you 2 different weights of spindle. The weight of a spindle will vary dramatically. You could have a 2-ounce spindle, which is what this one is approximately 2 ounces. This is the spindle that I first learned on. However, the heavier the spindle, the heavier weight of the yarn that you will get. And for me personally, when I started spinning, I wanted to spin fingering to possibly DK sport weight yarn. So spinning on something like this was not going to be good for me long term, because in order to get a fingering weight yarn, you need to have a fairly thin single, especially if you're going to 3 or 4 ply it. So this was great to learn on temporarily for me, but it wasn't a long-term spindle for me. This one, which is the little brother of this one, is a 1-ounce spindle. And still, even this one is a little bit heavy for what I like to do. But it is much better than the heavier version, and you will be able to get a much lighter weight yarn with the 1-ounce spindle. Now, most of the spindles that I use when I do spin on my spindle are less than an ounce. They are usually about no more than 17 grams, I think is the highest that I have, is a 17-gram spindle. So I'm just going to show you a little bit about how to get your spinning started. So you will see that I have a leader on my spindle here. Now, when I spin, I don't usually have a leader. I just make a leader with my fiber. It takes a little bit more time to do that, and it does take a little bit more practice. So if you are new to spindle spinning, then it's probably best to just put the leader on. And all you're going to do is create a slip knot and then put it on. And I've also tied the end on this one. So to get it started, you're just going to have a piece of fiber, and you can just put it kind of in that little crease, and then you're going to want to make sure that your fiber is out of the way and not going to interact with the spinning. Now, we talked in the previous video about S-twist and Z-twist. In this case, I want to spin this single in a Z-twist so that when I ply it, I can ply it in an S-twist. So a Z-twist is clockwise. So I'm going to rotate, I'm going to flick my spindle so that it's spinning in a clockwise direction if I was looking down on the spindle. So I'm just going to flick it, and I'm going to hold it, and I'm going to allow that twist to come up in there. Now, when you're new to spinning, the easiest way to start spinning is the park and draft method. If you spin it and get a good amount of twist in there, and then you're going to put it down between your legs. Now, I've got it between my legs. You can't see that part, but if you saw that part, you wouldn't be able to see what's going on up here, which is the important thing that's happening right now. Once you have that twist, you can start moving your hand up and allow that twist to go into the yarn. Okay? And you allow the twist to go right up into the yarn. Into the fiber. Once all the twist is out, or most of the twist, and you don't feel like there's any more twist going up there, then you need to spin the spindle again and allow more twist into that, and then place the spindle between your legs, between your knees, and then draft out some more fiber to go up in there. Okay, so once you have a good bit of length on your fiber, or in this case it's part leader, then you're going to want to take it out of the hook and you're going to want to spin it and create what I think is called a cop, but I'm not really quite sure. But you're just going to spin it on there so it will start winding onto the spindle. When you get down to have just a little bit left, actually probably want a little bit more than that, because you're going to allow that twist to come up in there. You're going to spin it, allow the twist to build up, put it between your knees, and then draft out and allow it to go up in there. Draft it out, and draft it out. And then spin it, allow some twist to get in there, place it between your knees, and then draft it out a little bit, draft it out a little bit more, and then allow that twist to run up in to the fiber that you've drafted out. Again, once you have a bit of a length on there, you're going to wind it onto your spindle, leaving again a decent sized length so that you can spin it and allow that twist to come in. Oops. That happens. That's what they're called, drop spindles. I didn't quite get it on my hook before I started spinning. So you're letting it get into that hook there. That's how it's staying on the top. So you're going. Okay, let's try again. Maybe I need to go the other direction. So come around this way. And again, you might have to determine, different spindles do different things. Sometimes I wrap it one way around the hook, and sometimes I wrap it around the other, because one way is better than the other. So then give it a good quick spin, a twist, let the twist get up into the fiber, or the yarn, up into your leader here, and then draft it out. I'm going to spin it again, and I'm going to draft it out. Now you will notice that I am kind of untwisting my fiber. If you give me a moment, I'm going to reset up so that you can be looking kind of at me over my shoulder, so you can kind of see a little better of how I am spinning this and how I am drafting this fiber. So now hopefully you can see a little bit better of how I'm spinning this. I'm going to go ahead and allow the twist to come up into the leader that I have here. And when I go to spin this, or when I go to draft it, before I pull on the fiber, I'm going to kind of give it a little untwist to kind of loosen up the fibers that are right there next to that fiber, fiber supply. Untwist and then draft. Untwist and then draft. This will help you to get a more even single. So let me show you again. I'm going to spin it, and then I'm going to place it between my legs. And again, I'm going to untwist a little bit, so my twist is going this way around my fiber. So in order to untwist it, I'm just going to untwist it and then pull it out. And untwist it and pull it out. And again, that's going to help you to get a a more consistent single. So again, I'm going to wind it on and then leave a bit and spin, allow it to go up in there, into the leader, place it between my legs, and then untwist and draft, untwist and draft, untwist and draft. This hand here is just kind of feeding the fiber. I'm not really clipping it. The only time I am really squeezing this fiber is when I'm holding it so that I can spin it. That's the only time that this hand is squeezing that fiber. So again, untwist and draft, untwist and draft. And this is somewhat of a, what I'm doing with this, how I'm drafting this, is somewhat of a woolen spinning method, because I'm allowing the air to get into the fiber supply as I'm spinning it. So when I let go like that, let me try again because the spindle is a little down. But when I let go after I've let the twist come up, that's allowing some of that air to get in there. If it was a worsted spun, there would be no air. I would have this hand down further and would not be allowing the twist to get up into the fiber supply. The twist will only be in the drafted section. And technically, just by letting it go, it's considered a woolen. Now, if I were to go twist and slide it up, and then draft and slide it up, that is more of a worsted spinning method. And it's a little bit more difficult to do that method on a drop spindle. When we get to spinning on a wheel, I will show you how it's done on the wheel. But now, once you have mastered the technique of spin, of what they call park and draft, where you spin and let the twist come up into the fiber, and the parking it between your knees, once you get past that, then you can go ahead and spin and draft at the same time. So I'm going to spin it, let the bobbin or the spindle just kind of hang and continue spinning, and I will just continue drafting until I see that the bob or the spindle is slowing down. And then once it's slowing down, I'll stop and I will wind on my yarn. Again, I will show you that. I will give my spindle a quick spin and then go ahead and let it continue spinning while I draft it out. And again, the woolen method of spinning is the easiest when you're spinning on a drop spindle. And then when I see that the spindle is slowing down, I will go ahead and wind it on and then continue. So thanks for joining me for this spinning on a drop spindle tutorial. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you will come back and check out more spinning tutorials that I have for you. Thanks for watching. Okay, I hope you enjoyed that tutorial. Like I said, I hope you are able to take some of those tips and apply them to your spinning, and hopefully your spinning will get more consistent and you'll enjoy spinning more. So now I'm going to get into talking a little bit about the sponsors for Knittopia. This week, the sponsors that are going to be added to the list of vendors who are sponsoring Knittopia 2013 are Halcyon Yarns, Ilga Lay, I think is how you pronounce it. It's Ilgalega. I'm sorry, Leja. Mountain Colors, Noni Designs, and Story Publishing. So thank you to all those vendors who are sponsoring the show. We are still looking to get a few more door prizes in. So if you are interested in sponsoring, I said sponsoring the show, I meant sponsoring the retreat. So if you're interested in sponsoring the retreat and would like to send a door prize, please get in contact with me because we are still looking for a couple of more door prizes, and hopefully we will be able to get those in before the retreat comes. And again, like I mentioned at the top of the show, that Knitopia 2014 registrations are open, and we have already started receiving registrations. So if you are interested in joining us for Knitopia 2014, get in contact with me so I can add you to the list. And I think that's all I have for you today. It's probably going to be a little bit shorter of a show today, but that's okay. I didn't have much knitting to show you other than my almost finished Knit Swirl. And hopefully next week I will be able to get back to knitting on my Even Star, which is my next big project. If you check out my projects page on Ravelry, I think I only have like 4 or 5 projects now, and a couple of them are small projects, like the preemie hats, that's an ongoing thing. I have a pair of socks, a half-finished pair of slippers, the Knit Swirl, which will hopefully be done this weekend, and I think the Even Star, and then again the sock yarn blanket, but again that's an ongoing thing. So I think I'm going to try and be monogamous with the Even Star for a while and try and push that through, and then I'm going to work on some slippers for me, because I mentioned before that I would like to have a few pairs of slippers that I can felt up once I get to camp this year. So hopefully my knitting will be somewhat enjoyable to see over the next 2 months, but if not, hopefully the tutorials will keep you coming back for more. So I hope you guys have a great week. I hope your knitting blooms, and I will talk to you next week, hopefully on Friday. So bye for now.